And we are live, one and all. What is going on? Welcome to this special interview with my good friend, Rustic. Rustic, it is great to have you back up here on youtube.com/Daniel Giza 412. What is going on? How have you been, my friend?
Hey, man. Thank you so much for having me back. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I've been good. Yeah, life's good. Been training my butt off, you know, and just, making videos and talking to you about training. How have you been?
Yes. I've been doing pretty good myself, here with the Kane Action team. Did a 2-hour training session today. Can't spill the beans on what we're working on, but for our next project, it's going to be pretty good. Winter Soldier fan film. So looking
Nice.
forward to it.
We just spilled the beans already.
Just a little bit. That's all I'll say. I don't like to spoiler alert, people. Spoiler alert. But for those of you, for the new people watching here, why don't you just give us a little refresher on your background? Who you are. And what people need to know most about you.
Sure. What's up, everybody? My name is Rustic Bodomov. I'm a professional stuntman. I live and work in Los Angeles, California, and I'm also a YouTuber. What's my background? I've been a martial artist since I was 11. My background's in judo, taekwondo, then parkour, which I did for about 8 years. And then, so as I was growing up, I was obsessed with Jackie Chan movies, and I decided to become a stuntman. So I moved to Los Angeles, and at the same time, I've had a YouTube channel this whole time. So I always work on my own projects. I make like fun little action comedy skits, stop motion videos, and tutorials on how to film fight scenes. And then I'm also training and working as a professional stuntman. Does that sound boring?
No, not at all. That is one hell of a good bio, let me tell you.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right, Rustic, let's not waste any time. Let's get right into these questions here. And if you're watching in the live chat, I want to say thank you to everybody who's tuning in. I want to say what's up going on to Ben. We got Mary in the live chat. Thank you for tuning in. Stuntman Films looks like it's in there as well. So if you have any questions, if we have time afterwards.
What up? Mary's in there too.
So hello, and what's going on? And feel free to ask your questions. So like I said, if we have time at the end, we might get some of those questions. So let's get into it. Here we go, Rustic. Question number one for you. Now, I know it's only May, and we still have the rest of the half of the year to go to. But what has been your favorite action movie you've seen so far this year? And I could probably take a guess as to which one that might be.
Do you want to answer it? Should I?
No, I'll let you.
Okay. Movies that came out this year, right?
Yeah. Favorite one so far.
That I've seen. Honestly, I really, really like John Wick 3, which I just saw last weekend. Is that what you were going to guess?
Yes. I kind of figured, but I thought maybe there would be another one in there, but John Wick, wow.
Yeah. Well, another one I really liked is Alita Battle Angel. That was really, really good movie. I don't know if you saw that one.
No.
It's about this like anime that got adapted into a live action movie. And there's a lot of VFX heavy scenes and fights and stuff like that in action, but it was like a really, really good story. But as far as action, for action's sake, John Wick 3. Like, I don't know if you've seen it yet. Have you seen this?
Seen it once. I want to see it again.
Okay. I want to see it again, right? And the reason is because there's so much action. There's like so many different styles of fighting in so many different locations with so many different weapons and people and horses and motorcycles. I don't know. From like an action perspective, that tops it for me. Yeah. Well, what about you? What's your favorite?
John Wick 3.
Yeah.
I thought it was incredible. If I had to rank them real quick, I'd say 1 is still my favorite, but 3 is now my second favorite, and I put 2. I mean, they're all good, but it's tough to. So I go 1, 3, and 2. Like 3 was really, really good. There was some stuff in there that I've never seen before, like the horseback stuff. I thought that was really unique.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you a little bit about like what were some of your favorite scenes from John Wick 3?
I've seen it only one time, so like you said, I got to watch it again. But the stuff that sticks out in my head the most is like all their fights in. It's basically a movie that's all fights, right? So basically, whenever they were in, I think they shot in Morocco. They went to like the desert, and they had like a bunch of like action scenes over there with like dogs. And they actually had dogs jumping on people. You can kind of see it in the actual trailer for John Wick 3, like a snippet of it. So they actually trained dogs to jump at people and attack them and like bite them in the nuts. And Literally, I was just talking to one of the guys. One of my acquaintances actually worked on it, and so he was like telling me like, yeah, he took it directly in the chest, like a dog just flying at you like a torpedo. Yeah,
Wow.
that was intense. I mean, I also like John number 1, I think the best, and number 3 second best. I would say the first movie has the best story, and then I wasn't a huge fan of number 2, but yeah, number 3 is just for just the action's sake. It's basically like a martial arts Eastern movie brought to the West, you know? I don't know.
I was going to say, how about when he's going up the different levels? To me, that kind of represented like almost a video game type, feel where he's like, he went up, he kicked these 2 guys' asses. Now he's got to go up to the next one, and then he dueled with them. Then that one guy that kept getting away from him, I was just like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. Like I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but yeah, like the whole last half of like the movie, like where they're in that location, is amazing. A lot of glass breaking.
Said the knife museum place and all the knife throwing, there was some great knife throwing.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah, that was crazy. Actually, I would say maybe that's my favorite. Yeah, because actually, one of those guys was a friend of mine, and so like I was watching, I'm like, oh smokes! Like there's that fight choreography was so like precise and complex, but like all the knife throwing is like, there's a guy that got like 5 knives in his back at one point.
Oh yeah. Wow, I remember. That was sick. I'm like,
good call,
how
Mary.
is he still going?
Yeah, it was crazy. And then also sitting in a movie theater was intense too, because like the whole audience would just be like, "Whoa, shit!" Like, just yelling.
That's the best. Same with the audience that I saw with. Like we were reacting, laughing, having a good time. I love when the audience is that involved. I really do.
Yeah, me too.
But also wanted to add here, Ben said he loved the Taekwondo choreography when John Wick was being kicked into the glass. That was good as well. Like he just kept going into glass after glass after glass.
Yeah.
Like, jeez, his back is fried.
Yeah, that was intense. They had like, you can see, once again, we're not giving anything away. It's in a trailer too, but yeah, you can see they have like 8 glass boxes and just keep kicking him through it. And you know what's crazy? I don't think Keanu Reeves did that particular part of it with the glass breaking, but he does like 95% of all his own stuff. Like when you're watching him move on a screen and fight, like he actually trains and he actually is doing that, And one of the things actually, the director of John Wick, his name is Chad Stahelski. He has like a bunch of videos. He's been like kind of talking about the process behind the movie making of it. And I was watching one of the videos and he was saying like, wow, my brain just skipped.
That's okay. We're live, people.
So this is what happens whenever you try to make a story too long-winded. But anyways,
that's okay.
I think the point was, he was just saying that Keanu Reeves has gotten better since the first movie because he's had like 4 or 5 years, however long since the first movie, to train, and he's been training the whole time. So that's why in this one, you just see him do so much more. Like if you ever watch the fights, because I was actually going to recreate some of those fights for practice in the past, like from 1 and 2. And I looked up all the fights and I was watching a compilation to pick one to redo. And I noticed that there wasn't really many complicated fights before. Like there's one fight in the second movie when he goes against this assassin for like 5 minutes straight. But other than that, it's all really simple stuff. Like disarm a guy with a gun, throw him. Disarm this guy, throw him. But like this movie, John Wick 3, it's like everything is really like complicated and like precise, That's what I was impressed.
You could, and that's a good thing to note, the progression of Keanu Reeves. And I like the fact that he does do a lot of his own stunts. I really appreciate that when the actor is willing to invest that much, because you don't really see it that often. I mean, there's some guys like a Tom Cruise, or I'm sure there's other people out there that are willing to do it, but he's definitely at the top of the list. He's got to be.
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely sure he is. Tom Cruise is another one though. He's like crazy in a good way, I guess. Like he actually is really, really good at what he does.
Speaking of, did you see that the last Mission Impossible was really, really good as well. That was one of my favorite action movies that I've seen in a while. It was, I don't know if you saw it yet.
I have not
but
seen
I recommend
it.
It's okay. Man. So yeah, Mission Impossible, I think it's 6 they're on.
Oh wow,
it was just and there's a lot of crazy, like different, I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, definitely recommend
It's so hard
it.
to
Add
talk
it to the
about.
list.
Yeah.
But with that being said, let's move on to the next question here. Speaking of this year, I was wondering, without giving anything too far away, what projects are you most looking forward to working on that you can kind of tell us about that you're excited for?
Okay. There's two parts to this answer. So first of all, stunts. Basically, whatever comes first. My job as a stunt performer, like sometimes like you have a project coming up, like in a couple of months, and you're training for it, and sometimes you just kind of flowing and training and waiting for jobs to come in. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. So whatever comes my way, I'm excited. I feel like I'm going to be really busy, but I don't know exactly what it's going to be yet. But then as far as my own projects this year, I'm super excited because I recently worked on a corridor digital video, which just came out today, called Jon Snow Wick. And
very good.
while I was working on that, so the Corridor is like a big YouTube channel, and they do like high quality VFX and like action shorts, right? And they mix it in with action comedy. And so they've been an inspiration to me as a filmmaker for like 8 or 9 years since I first started doing like videos. And working on it was really awesome. And I got to talk to one of the guys behind it, Nico. And he was basically like, he gave me like a 45-minute, like I talked to him for like 45 minutes. And I picked his brain about what makes like a successful YouTube channel, what makes, not even a YouTube, but like what makes a good story, like how to capture people's attention, how to, do that kind of stuff. So having had that experience about a week ago, I've just basically been developing a bunch of ideas that I'm going to be doing on my own channel. So I'm really excited for those. My YouTube channel has been kind of like on and off for a little while. It used to be like just tutorials. Then it was just like super creative stop motion. And so now I'm kind of like synthesizing it all into like synergizing, like into its own like thing. I don't know what it's going to end up yet, but I am super excited for my YouTube channel this year too. But yeah, I don't know. That's a really long answer.
That's okay. What about the project? I always forget the name of it. The hallway fight that you shared a little snippet of. What's
That's right.
going on with? Is
yeah,
it?
That's a short film.
That looks good.
Thanks, man. Yeah, so that's a short film that a friend of mine, Peter Jang, put together. We actually filmed a fight for it like 1.5 years ago, and then he's been kind of filming the other scenes around it to complete the short. And it's actually almost done now. Like it's
nice.
It's already edited. It just has to like have a little bit of color correction on it, and I'm hoping that'll be out in the next maybe a month or so.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm really excited. It's for a short film called Pawns. And I know if you guys watching this haven't seen it, like if you go on my channel, I think the video is just called Hallway Fight Scene, and I talk about it there. But basically, I play an assassin, my friend plays an assassin, and we're fighting each other while there's like another whole backstory going on, why we're there and like what's happening with it and how we're both being used like pawns against each other. I'm not giving anything away, I don't think. But
no, the trailer, like I said, really hooked me, and that's one I'm really looking. And that fight, like that you shared, I'm just like, wow, that's probably one of the best ones that I've seen you do. It's just like everything seemed to just come together for that fight in particular.
Yeah, man, thank you. That's actually because Peter is a really good choreographer. That's the guy I was fighting with, and so he put together all those beats, and he's also a really good performer. And it's really nice when you get to perform with another high level person, I guess you could say, or martial artist specifically, because like we can go faster and like we could be tighter with our movements, and you're just like, oh, these guys are trying to kill each other, right? Like that's I guess that's like a different topic, but like there is a little bit of a difference of how you approach filmmaking whenever you're working with new people or whenever you're working with like professionals, like people that have been doing it for a while, right? And that's why you see the difference between like, daytime TV fight scene, which is like somebody just getting shoved against the wall, or like John Wick, where you just see a dude like disarm a guy, kill him with a pencil, do a thing,
But there definitely is a difference there.
Yeah, but yeah, that was a really good fight. I'm really excited about it, and actually, that's another thing is I'm planning on filming a lot more high level fights. I'd like to do that as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, since we're talking about projects, I feel like this would be a good time to talk about. It's called John Snowick. If you haven't seen it, it's really, really good. That is your latest project. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because it premiered today, I believe. Today was the day
Yeah,
it
man.
dropped.
Yeah, it's so I'd love to talk about it. So that was actually a video that I was a part of for a YouTube channel called Corridor. And it's called Jon Snow Wick. So basically like Jon Snow from Game of Thrones. But he's like acting like John Wick. So what happens in the video, like if you look it up on YouTube, it's just Jon Snow Wick. But the basic gist of it is Ghost, which is his wolf, Jon Snow's wolf. He finds him like shot and he just goes crazy and like kills a bunch of people. And so it's funny is like I actually got to play 3 characters in it. So if you actually watch that video, you'll see I have a fight scene with an axe. I get taken out, then I get like a fight scene with a sword. I do a big wreck, and then there's another part where like running through the woods and get thrown like a John Wick style. Yeah, that was a really fun project. That was like a 2-day shoot. So that was about 2 weeks ago. We had day 1, and then we were just like filming it in the mountains. It was like maybe an hour and a half drive for me.
Nice.
And then yeah, like everybody was good. I was working with my friends. So my buddy, if you watch the video, the bad guy is played by my friend Ryan, and he actually films. He's an amazing stunt performer and filmmaker as well. And like we actually film a lot of fights together. And the other guy there was Seti. He's a good friend of mine as well. Is also a stunt performer, and Tony. And yeah, it was just a good crew. We did it in 2 days.
Nice.
We had to postpone one of the days. It was actually supposed to be like a Thursday and a Friday, but we came back on the Friday, and there was like complications with the location, so we had to postpone it till the next Monday. But they did it really fast. Like we literally shot the second day on Monday this week, and today's Saturday.
Wow.
You know, and then they put it up. Like those guys are really pros.
Because I'm watching it right now, and I have the link shared in the live chat. Be sure to check out Jon Snowick, and I'm like I said, the location's really well done. I really like the. Where was this filmed at? Do you know the name of this location that you guys used?
Yeah,
California.
It's in. I don't know the exact name. It was basically like a GPS coordinate. But it was basically like in the Los Angeles forest, like up by Pasadena. It's basically like the north end. Yeah.
Nice.
You have to like drive, and like you lose phone signal and you're still driving for like 10 miles, and then you pull off, and then like you walk down a path, and then there's like a pine grove, which was where we filmed in. Yeah, we actually kept filming. We actually kept like cheating it and like looking a different way to make it look like a big pine forest. But in reality, like the whole size of it was maybe like half a football field or something.
Wow, so that's it. Huh.
Movie magic.
I like the one part I'm watching here where it's like almost a side scroller where he's running to the side and just taking down everybody. That was one of my favorite parts in this.
Yeah, I like that one too. Actually, do you see the last guy that gets thrown? That was me.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, those guys, Sam and Nico, the filmmakers in Corridor, they're amazing. Like it was really eye-opening for me to work with them as well. Like Sam, who was on camera, the way he was filming it is he wouldn't just film extra coverage. Like when you're for people that don't know, when you're filming a fight scene, and like at first what you want to do is film it like dialogue. And so you just get like the whole fight from this side, get the whole fight from this side, and then you get like a master, and then in the edit you figure out how to cut it together, right? But like when you get more experience, you start like planning it on purpose and like editing it in your head as you're shooting it. So you know exactly like, okay, like you have the choreography figured out. You have like, okay, there's like 10 moves. And then you go, okay, I want to see the first 2 or 3 moves from right here. Okay. All right, now I'm going to cut there. Okay. So you just do those 3 moves until you see them perfectly on your monitor. Okay, cool. Moving on, next one. And that's how they did the whole thing. So like they didn't get any extra shots at all, which I was kind of surprised about. And I was like wondering how it was going to turn out, but it turned out great, you know? So yeah, just being very purposeful with your filmmaking is what I learned as well.
Yeah, that is true. And for only 2 days, like I said, that really came together. Turned out really, really well. Like I said, I like the weapon uses too. Like you guys, I thought that was really well done. You know, the headshots. Somebody got, I think, decapitated in that. I was like, holy crap! I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah, they were trying to go full John Wick. It was actually the choreography was put together by Tony. He's in the description. His name is Tony Srey, I think. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but yeah, they were trying to stay with like John Wick, like how brutal it is. And what's interesting is like they didn't use any prosthetics. So like if you look at the video, at one point one of the guys gets shot with an arrow in the hand, right?
Yep.
That's all VFX. So I literally just
Wow.
have his hand there and goes and then they tracked it in. Same with getting like the crossbow going past camera and like hitting a tree. Like there wasn't any crossbow bolt right there.
Okay.
That was VFX.
Huh.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah,
and all the blood as well.
It.
All that blood was added afterwards.
The blood? Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. It was really good. Like I said, I'm kind of watching it right now as we do this interview because it's probably like the third time that I've watched it. It's really, really good. So,
I'm glad you like it, man.
Congratulations. Absolutely.
Thanks. No, it was like a really cool experience. Like I said, like they inspired me to start action filmmaking like years ago. And and I've done a couple of videos with them before, like the Corridor guys. Like I've done like little parts here and there. We did another video recently called Tactical Reloads, and I played this like clown that gets kicked out. This is the first time I actually got to actually like play characters and fight and stuff. Actually, they were gonna make me the main bad guy. You know, the guy that's like, oh, your dog doesn't fetch real. But like I was having a trouble with the accent, and then we figured out because I was gonna do a bunch of Rex, and they were like, well, if Rustic is the bad guy, then he can't do all these other things. So I was kind of glad I got to do a lot of the choreo, so I'm happy. But maybe in the future I'll actually get to play a part.
There you go. And there was one more. Didn't you do like a Winter Soldier? Speaking of Winter Soldier or a Captain America, it was some type of Marvel. It was like in a parking garage.
Yeah.
It was like a short. That was another good one. I forget which.
You liked it? Thanks, man. Yeah, that's a Captain America fight scene that we recreated. Yeah. That's actually Narayan, the guy that I just told you about, who was the bad guy in the Jon Snow Wick. He was the one that filmed that. So like, so you can see his camera work on there.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, sorry. Yeah, for the people that are watching, I don't know what we're talking about. We made a fight scene on my channel a couple months ago where we just took we took a scene directly from Captain America, and we just did all the choreography, and we filmed it in our own way. And I think we did it a little bit better, but that's just personal. I mean, not like that we did it better, but like in the edit of the actual movie, you can see some mistakes, which I made sure that weren't in my version. Yeah.
I got it pulled up here right now. I shared the link in the live chat. You guys did a really good job. And I like how you did the 8-minute video afterwards, breaking down how you put that together. See, for somebody like me who's getting involved in the stunt work, it's like, oh, cool, that's how you're able to do that. And they did that move, and they used this camera angle. And then I think there was the one part at the end when you went flying, and then you said you like changed it up a little bit from the way that you were falling. You didn't quite like it. I don't know if you want to kind of, I mean, that was a tough bump there at the end.
Yeah, no, that was fun. So what happens is in the end of the Captain America fight scene, Crossbones, who's the guy that I was playing, gets like launched on a wire and just goes flying. So we didn't have wires, and we had like a concrete parking garage, and I didn't really feel like throwing myself at the ground for a practice fight. So then I just decided, well, it was actually Narayan's idea. He was like, okay, what we're going to do is you're going to go out of frame, and you're going to jump past the frame to simulate the distance you're traveling. And then you're going to like, we're going to put the camera on the ground. You're just going to do a roll and like over rotate, just like you land. And it actually cuts together pretty nicely, I think. But I'm not sure what question you're asking, but I think that maybe what you're asking me is this. When I put it on Instagram, I ended up removing an extra shot. So there's 3 shots. There's one of me getting kicked in the face going off the camera. There's one of me flying past camera. And then there's one of me just like landing. And I took the flying past camera out because I thought that it was a little bit, my performance on it wasn't, my body shape in the air wasn't correct, you know? And it actually cut together anyways. Like as soon as I come out of frame, he kicks me. Whoosh, I just cut to a roll like blah, 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 on the ground. And I think it worked. Okay. Yeah. But what saved that was after he kicked me in the face, we stayed on my partner's face a little bit longer. So he's like looking, and then that's me cutting. Yeah.
I was gonna say another little trick I like is when you have the knife pop up out of your shirt. It's like just appear. I really like
Oh
that.
yeah.
That was a nice little trick that you did there.
Thanks. Well, that's just out of necessity because Crossbones has gauntlets that have knives coming out
Yeah.
of them. If you go, and I was like, well, let's just cheat it. I just have a knife in my sleeve. And it's funny, like if you look at the behind the scenes video, like you could see me trying. Like it took us like 2 minutes to try, because every time like I would either catch it, like the knife would come out too far, I'd like catch it right by the handle, or it wouldn't come out enough. But that's the kind of stuff that I think that really makes stuff interesting. Like in Jon Snow Wick, like we were just talking about, there's a part where Nico, which is the guy that's fighting all of us, he has a bow on his foot and he throws it up, catches it, knocks and shoots an arrow. Like he actually did that, but we spent like 20 minutes trying to get it,
Okay.
So
man,
there's stuff like that you just can't fake.
Huh. Now, I noticed, keeping with the Captain America fight scene here, you were fighting at a parking garage. And I'm sure you had all your pads and all your equipment. I mean, falling on that concrete, how comfortable? I mean, I'm sure you've been doing this a while now, falling on uncomfortable surfaces. Like for somebody like me, that's kind of daunting task. Like, how do you approach that? And practice. I'm going to fall this way, and just so I don't get hurt and whatnot.
Yeah, that's a great question, man. So yeah, first of all, number one is if you have long sleeves or pants, like long pants, we always put on pads. So I was wearing, there's such a thing as hard pads and soft pads. Hard shells are the ones that you can see skaters wear. They're like kind of big and bulky that have plastic on the outside, right? And soft pads are, I actually have a video about my stunt pads if you want to see it, but they're the ones you can just slide on. They're very low profile and they can hide under your clothes. So I just by default usually have all my pads on because even if you know how to, because the second part to your question is how do you warm yourself up to actually go do it, like even with pads on, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, you practice a lot in a gym with a spring floor or on mats or on grass, and then until you can do everything really quiet. And so, and then eventually you could do it on grass, and eventually you could do it on concrete. And the trick with stunts is like it looks painful, but what you're actually trying to do is do it super, super soft, right? So it's like I could do a flip and land on my back on the ground and slow myself down in the process of going down to where like it's just a little bit of a bump and it doesn't really hit any of my joints, So there's definitely a technique to it, which you get by just doing it a lot. Obviously, like if there's a stunt that I'm afraid to do, it's because I don't have it in my muscle memory yet, Yeah. So like if I'm scared of like there's this one time where I was like really scared of like when I first moved out to LA, there was this fight scene I was doing with these guys that were like super like high level, and I was just like starting out, and I wanted to do like a big wreck just to show them I could do something. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna hit this. I'm gonna run at this tree. I'm gonna hit it. I'm gonna go off camera, and then I'll fly into camera, like into frame sideways, hit a tree, and like spin off of it and like fall on the ground. And then after I said it, they were like, yeah, sure. And I was like, oh crap. So then I went to Jam, which is the gym I train at. And I set up foam blocks, like big, like the parkour blocks. And I set it up, put mats all around, and just did it slowly, little by little, until I started getting the motion. And then once I got an understanding of how it worked, then I was able to do it. And the other thing too is like, if you are going to have to do a wreck, you have to commit. Like you can't let the ground hit you. Like you have to decide how you hit the ground. So like, if I'm going to do if I'm standing on my feet, like any of the throws in that Jon Snow Wick video, like the first one is I get snapped, like there's a bow right here, it's around my neck, and it gets snapped at me, and I fall back, and I do like a break fall. If you look at it slow motion, it's not just going up and hitting the ground. It's like a little slinky. Like you make your body like kind of like be soft, and you have to go for it. Like if you just relax, like if you jump and you're doing a wreck and you go, okay, now my job is done, you're gonna hurt yourself, right? You have to be conscious all the way down, and you hit the ground. Don't let the ground hit you. I don't know if that answered your question. Is that also warming up is really, 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 really important.
Yes.
Because if you have like, even if you're doing something super simple, like a roll or like, it's a simple fall, like, and you're not warmed up, just like the fact that your muscles and your joints aren't like elastic, like you can just like break something or pull something or strain something, and it's not fun.
I was also going to say, don't be nervous, because that's something I kind of do. I'm like, if you're nervous, you tense up, and then that might also, it's an easy way to get hurt. Just calm down, relax, and it'll be all right. Don't hesitate either. Just do it.
And that comes from practice, Like I believe in like starting slow. It's funny because people say this is actually a Russian thing, and I am Russian, but like I believe like the way Russians learn stuff is always like do a lot of a thing in very, very small increments until you get enough to like a level where you're able to perform it, right? So like I wouldn't recommend somebody go and just practice how to do a header, which is like a flip when you go over your head. And I wouldn't just be, hey, go practice it, go try it. I would tell them, okay, first of all, do a forward roll until it feels really, really good, until you're comfortable, until you're not scared. Then you can do something else. Like always, like your leaps in ability, and like there's a difference between being a daredevil and a stuntman, right? So whenever you have a stunt that you're afraid of, it should never be more than like a certain amount. It depends on what kind of person you are. Like for me, like I never like to do anything that's outside of my comfort zone past like if it's this much out of my comfort zone, but I know that I can do it and I've practiced it, like, but it's just nerves, like I know I could do it. If it's literally like here and it's something that I've only done once or twice or never done, then usually I'll be like, this isn't healthy. Like I'm not going to do this. Like, so like, and that's where the confidence, like the way, when you relax, it's whenever you've already done the thing you're about to do a bunch of times. And that's why people, you can't ever, like if you want to be a stuntman or anything with any sort of athlete, any sort of sport, you just can't fall behind on your training, you just have to put in the time. And after a while, like it doesn't feel like hard to you anymore, because like learning a backflip, like I could backflip anywhere, anytime. But that took me like, a couple years until one day I was like, you know what, I'm going to do a backflip every day until I land it. It took me about 3 weeks straight. And now the muscle pattern, the memory is in my muscles. And so now it's like not scared at all. Mm-hmm. There's like no fear, and that comes from this muscle memory.
Yeah. I want to do a backflip, and I know I'll get there. That's something on my bucket list. I can do a front flip. Nice. So that took a while to build up to. It was slow progression of just being comfortable and now it's just like with these, boom, I could just flip myself. So it was really scared at first, but it's just like you just got to do it. You just got to build and break it down step by step. That's the best way, at least for me to learn.
Yeah,
I like when it's broken down into steps.
Yeah. It's good that you say, like, for me, like, I guess I agree with that as well. There's different types of people. Like I've met the people that are just like, you know what, just try it. But I don't believe in that. Like, I think that if you just try it, you're going to hurt yourself more often than if you do a progression into something. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, here. So let's move on to the next question here on the list. Speaking of stunts and falls, what was in your opinion, the most difficult fall stunt that you had to perform? And how were you, it's kind of a two-part question here. How were you able to overcome the difficulty of learning that particular stunt?
Okay. So I think I kind of actually already mentioned this. So basically, every time that there's something new, it feels like it's the most difficult thing that I've ever done, right? And I try and apply what we just talked about to breaking it down, learning it in increments. But as far as right off the top of my head, the tree hit that I mentioned to you, where like a couple years when I first moved out here, I had to run. Like basically, this guy punches me and it cuts away and it cuts back, and I hit a tree and I fall to the ground. I spin around it. It's actually in my stunt reel as well. And yeah, so that was the thing. So I told people that I could do this thing. Then I had to go get myself ready for it. And if I just showed up to set to do it, it would have been like a big mistake, Like I needed to go practice it. And so the way I did it was, like I said, I went to a gymnastics gym. I set it up. I nerfed everything, you know, and I did it little by little. I worked my way up to doing it. And then on the day I was fine. I mean, similar thing is like with high falls. Like sometimes like we do high falls. A high fall is basically like if you're going off anything like, you know, higher than 5 feet up to like 30, 40 feet into like an airbag or a mat or boxes, anything, right? Like those are the ones that usually trip me out as well. And and like if I know I have a high fall coming up, I will actually go practice. There's a couple places in LA where I'll go practice little by little, work my way up to it until I'm comfortable. At the end of it all, it's just muscle memory. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question. Does that answer your question?
That does. Actually, that gives me another question to ask you here. What was the highest you've ever fallen from for a high fall or something of that height? Like you said, 5 to 30 feet was.
Well, no, I mean, there's people that do crazy high ones, like 100. I think the highest one I've done is 35.
35.
Yeah, and it wasn't even for a job. It was like at this guy's backyard in LA that used to be a stunt guy. I don't know if they still have it anymore, but he used to just have these barbecues where he invites people over, and he has like an airbag and he has this big scaffolding where you can just climb and jump off of it. And
holy crap.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I have some old videos of training over there, but I think the highest one I did there was 35. I don't, you know, I'm not a big fan of heights. I know I'm a stuntman and I know from parkour and stuff, but I'm not a big fan of heights. Like, if somebody calls me, am I nervous? Yeah.
When you got up there, you're like, oh crap, I don't think I can do this.
Yeah, man. It's like you climb up and then like from the, you know, it's like you ever climb something high and from the ground it doesn't look that much. Yeah. And then you get up there and you're like, oh wow, I'm landing in something this big. And then also like you're scaffolding which has tie downs, but it's still like moving. It's like windy, so it's like,
oh geez.
You know, you're just like,
crap. What am I doing?
Yeah, so that was scary. I mean, it was fine. I got down and stuff, but like,
okay.
Luckily, there's so many stunt people now, and there's so many different specializations that I just don't even put that on my resume. You know, like if I was doubling an actor, for a show, and they were like, okay, he does a high fall, then I could probably do it. But like, if somebody's like, hey, I need somebody that does high falls, I don't put my name in it because that's not my specialty. My specialty is fights, I think. Yeah, and wires.
All right, interesting stuff here. So let's go on to the next question here. In regards to collaboration with different actors and filmmakers, what's your favorite part about that whole process?
Okay, my favorite part of the process of collaborating specifically, because like working for a set is like a little different. Like when you work as a stuntman, you get hired, you go on and you just do your job. You know, sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's just work. But as far as collaborating with people, like making videos and like with Corridor, with Jon Snow Wick, that was a collaboration. My favorite part is just the rush. Like I get a rush from having creative input and then like other people having creative input and then like laughing. I especially like to do comedic stuff. You know, like I stay away from like super serious material. Like when it's comedy and you're there to just have fun, and I like to put, like when I'm directing something, I like to put together like people that mesh well, you know, and then we like make an atmosphere that's like fun. So everybody's like laughing, putting their ideas together. Me still getting work done, but like it's just a good time, you know? So my favorite part about collaborating is like creative, the rush, the literal dopamine rush you get by doing something creative, and like the atmosphere of like working with good people. And that's why like people talk about like the film industry or any creative industry is very people driven. It's like, who do you want to hang out with, you know, and make something? Would you rather hang out with somebody that's like, would you rather create something with somebody who's like a really good person to be around, helps you creatively, bounces your ideas back and forth, but maybe they're not like the best at this one thing? Or would you rather work with somebody that's like the best at this one thing, but they're like super serious about it? And they're like, no, it has to be done this way. You know, it's like, yeah. So basically, yeah, I'm always answering your questions with like 4 other things, but
that's fun.
I love collaborating. What's my favorite part about collaborating? Is collaborating. Like,
well, there you go. Well, speaking of collaborations, and this is another question that just came to mind, because I actually just did a couple weeks ago a 48-hour film project for a film called Banana Express. And I was wondering, have you ever done I'm assuming you've probably done 48-hour film projects before.
Wait, first of all, who did you do it for?
Local film studio up here. It's called Banana
Okay.
Express. Yeah.
Banana Express. Nice. That's a cool name.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've actually done a 48-hour film festival once. I wasn't the director on it. It was my friend Sam Vest, and it was kind of a trip. It was a very fast-paced thing. We even got a little bit of stunts in it, but I think just because it was so rushed, it wasn't. I don't think it turned out as good as it could have been. But it was actually meant to be like the style of it. It was called Wolf Punch. My YouTube. The funny thing is, my YouTube thumbnail, which of my face looking sideways, I have a boxing glove on. You can't kind of see on the bottom, and I was from that project. And my girlfriend Mary was in it too. She played the female lead, and it was like how did I describe it? A campy 60s superhero called Wolf Punch, and it was like an action comedy. And yeah, no, it was fun. It was fun. That was the only time I've done a 48-hour film project, like officially. But I routinely make videos in less than that amount of time, though. So I always have my own little project.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I can't imagine.
that's awesome. What?
Oh, go ahead. What were you going to say, Rustic?
Oh no, I was just going to ask you about your project, your film.
Banana Express.
Yeah.
It was kind of like this, where this guy's walking through and all these different weird things are happening to him. These people are singing country music. And then the scene that I was a part of was a ninja fight scene. So he's just casually walking through, and these ninjas, who I played one of them, just start fighting each other. It's all these different weird experiences that happen to this one guy that they continuously follow around. It was up in Cleveland that it was shot. But
Cleveland.
Yeah. It turned out pretty good. It only took them, like I said, that one day. I can't imagine just being able to do that all in one day.
How long was the short?
That I do not know, because it has not been released yet, but it should be released in the early part of June here. I'm trying to pull up some more information about it. Yeah, Banana Express, and it's going to be premiering, I believe, next Friday, or actually this Friday coming up.
Nice.
In Cleveland. So yeah. Should be good. If you're in the area, be sure to check it out. It's done by White Midnight Films. That's the name of the company here. So it was fun. It was really fun being, asked to do something like that. I was like, sure, I'll be a ninja.
Yeah.
I was never a ninja up until that point, and I'm sure you've been a ninja before as well. I'm pretty sure I remember you playing a ninja.
Yeah, I've been a ninja, I think.
It's fun.
It kind of blends in. It kind of all blends together. Honestly, like all the sorry, yes, it's extremely fun being a ninja. I love it. but what I was trying to say is, like, it kind of blends together. Like when people ask me, like, have you ever done this, or what was your craziest thing? I'm like, oh, I never like really sat down to think about it. It's like I've done maybe like 100 projects, so it's like
wow.
I don't know. It's funny because if you look at like people's IMDb, not everything goes on there, because they don't count music videos, they don't count commercials, they don't count like. So like, I don't know why I brought that up. Oh, I think yeah. Okay. Anyways, yeah, being a ninja is awesome. I love being kind of a ninja on the corridor video that just came out today, with the red sash with the axe. Because I had to have my face.
Okay. Huh. Well, then thank you for letting me know that about IMDb. I'm actually looking at it right here, right now. Yeah. And you're on there, and I'm on there as well. So there you are.
Nice.
Yeah. So I got 2 projects under my belt there. So
nice.
You got 35. Thank you. 35 stunt credit. Wow. Impressive. Just great work here. Just looking at all the stuff that you've done here.
Oh, thanks, man.
You're welcome.
It's fun. It just builds up over time. Oh, it's so interesting.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, go ahead. I was in what?
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm looking at that. You were a stunt double.
Yeah, that was fun.
Nice. Because I was going to ask you about like being a stunt double and the process into that. Because to me, that sounds like there's a whole lot that goes into just doubling for somebody.
Yeah, it's a whole world. Honestly, I'm still trying to figure it out myself. I've done it a couple times. I've doubled maybe 10, 8 to 10 actors in the past. It's fun. Like being so like you have stunt performers that just kind of get hired to be bad guys, and you have stunt doubles, right? And
Mhm.
I mean they're interchangeable most of the time because everybody that gets work as a stunt double also is a stunt performer, right? But
Yep.
there are some people that get lucky. Like I know a couple of guys that like look exactly like an actor, and basically there's some people in the industry that they'll just find that one actor and then their career is set. Like they're working for years and they're on everything that this person's doing. And sometimes it's not even hard stuff, right? Sometimes it's like a crime show or something where the guy just like throws left hooks the whole time, or like right hooks. But the point is, yeah, being doubles, yeah, being a double is fun. What's a trip too is like you're supposed to like watch how your actor moves. So if you get like on Agents of Shield, I
Mhm.
worked one day and I was doubling this guy, and he like gets killed. So when it was his time to die, I would walk in there and I took the hit and felt whatever. But the thing that really sells it for the audience when you're a stunt double, you have to actually look at your actor and see what their posture is like, see how they're
Yep.
standing, see how they're moving. Because like if for example my actor, he was in like really good shape and he's just had really great posture and just like always doing everything. He kind of looked like a robot because I think his character was robotic. Um, and so if I came in there and I was like doing myself, like if I reverted to my like frantic Jackie Chan fight mode, I would just be
Mhm.
doing all this stuff. It's like you would, so like you have to like mimic the way they move. And the really good people will basically be like a method actor. Like the really good stunt doubles, the ones that work on all these Marvel movies and stuff, they'll literally just be on set and they'll be just be watching their actor and they'll be like, okay. And they'll literally be like mimicking their posture and practicing it the whole way through. So like you can't even tell. Um,
Hmm.
but the cool thing too is when you're doubling somebody and you're such a good match that you get mistaken for them, which happened to me before. I was doubling this Indian guy, and it was like in a dark house because it was a horror movie, and they kept like coming up to me and being like, "Hey, oh wait, you're not so and so." So that's fun.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's pretty crazy. All right,
yeah,
so interesting. Thank you for sharing that because I like that
yeah,
just
man.
popped up in my head. I'm like stunt doubles. Wow, that's just
Yeah,
sounds like a whole another different process to learn.
it's definitely like uh, a lot more precise
Yeah.
training and work, and like especially with like the superhero movies because like that was kind of one of my goals. Actually, it's funny. My goal last year was to double a superhero, and I ended up doing it in a Bollywood movie.
Nice.
but
There you go. That's
but
awesome.
like the people that do superheroes, that double heroes, they all have to be a certain like leanness. You know what I'm saying? So it's like as that's one thing I'm trying to do right now is actually lean out a little bit, get leaner,
Okay.
so I could double. Yeah.
Nice.
You
Well,
guys know everything about me now. I don't know if this is a boring conversation or not. I'm just like chilling. I'm just like, hey, yeah, I'm talking to you instead
that's
of
why I love
like,
doing these interviews. They're just so much
yeah,
fun. You really get to ask all these great questions. And like I said,
yeah. You have some good questions, man.
thank you very much. And speaking of questions, let's move on to the next one here. How long did it take you to learn the fundamental basics of parkour? Because I know you're very good at that. And what advice would you give someone that would like to, a newcomer to the sport of parkour to get involved in that?
Mhm. Okay. So okay, it took me about. I started parkour back when I started my YouTube channel because I wanted to have videos to put up. So I basically just started jumping over trash cans. I wasn't, and like I was, there wasn't much available like tutorials or a huge community around it yet. So it took me a
Mhm.
little bit of time to actually get what I would say proficient in it. I would say it took me maybe 3 or 4 years to get to where I moved and I looked like the people that I was watching on the videos that I liked. Um, but I would say the basics probably take about like if you follow like tutorials and you train every day, um, Honestly, it depends on the person. I mean, if you're naturally gifted, like a lot of skaters come into doing parkour, they'll
Yep.
can pick it up within like 3 to 6 months, and they could be doing crazy stuff. If you're just a normal person that's kind of learning, which like I was just starting from scratch, I would say maybe at a nice slow pace, which is what I recommend, probably take about a year or two.
Okay.
In 2 years, probably of good consistent training, slow, not hurting your joints, then you could be really good. The problem with parkour is like there's setbacks along the way, which come from injuries that when you're trying to push too hard, too fast. And so like
Yep.
my advice to a newcomer would be take it really, 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 really slow. Like like when I moved to Scotland, so I started parkour when I was in Pittsburgh,
Hmm.
growing up, and I was there for like a year before I went to Scotland. Uh, and so in Pittsburgh, when I was there, I took like a tumbling class from a local gymnastics place, which kind of gave me some air awareness a little bit. I was still bad. Like I could barely do like a round off, but like I got some fundamentals. I started like learning how to do a backflip like on a trampoline. I started doing that kind of stuff. And then I moved to Scotland, and then they didn't have a gymnastics gym there. And all they have there is like a bunch of walls and maybe like rails, and it rains all the time. So the type of training I did there was what I would recommend to everybody is like really slow, small, practice your balance a lot, practice precisions, like jumping from one precision, like either rails or walls or just marks on the ground. A lot of like cat crawls, which is like, quadrupedal movement where you're moving on your hands and feet, forwards, backwards, sideways, moving like a gorilla, like practicing swinging all the upper body. So like all the stuff, all the fundamentals. And you can make them into like little games. Like there's this one example of like a game you could make for yourself as a workout for like a 40-minute workout. You could find a set of rails that kind of like go like this. You ever see those that crisscross, like a really long
Yeah.
wheelchair ramp? You find one
Yep.
of those, and your goal is to start on one end of it and make it all the way up without falling off. But
Huh.
whether you're walking on it or whether you're like doing a cat crawl, and every time you fall off, you go back to the beginning. No, every time you fall off, you do 10 push-ups. Then you go back to the beginning and you do it again. And you fall off, you do 10 push-ups, and you go. And it's just the goal isn't even to finish the whole thing. I mean, it is if you can, but when you
Yeah.
get better, but like you get better so quickly doing those little types of drills. Yeah, and the guys in Scotland, because they didn't have access to a bunch of gyms, parkour gyms, that's what they're really good at, and they perfected like a lot of that kind of stuff. So if you want to look up Glasgow parkour,
Hmm.
that's one of my friends who actually has a lot of really good freaking, what am I trying to say? Good fundamentals. And also there's another one right here of my friend started an Instagram recently, and he's teaching all these parkour basics with his own moves, and it's called, I probably won't find it right now. Oh man. But yeah, anyways, yeah, my advice would be start slow, take a tumbling class, take a basic class, focus on your movements, focus on your joints. Parkour is really, really hard on joints. I personally don't even train it often anymore. When I
Yep.
first moved out to LA to become a stuntman, I thought I would be the parkour stuntman. I thought that I was like, because I had proficiency, I was like, okay, I could do like wall flips and I could do these runs and I could do this and this. I want to land, I could do high drops and land on stuff and run along, whatever. But like in LA, there's Tempest, which is Tempest Freerunning, which is the world's biggest like parkour team, and they have like 3 gyms here. So the level of acrobatics out here is like
Hmm.
so crazy, and it takes such dedication to do it that I just decided, you know what, that's not for me. So personally, and also because I'm a really tall guy, like on a tall frame, I'm 6'2", so on a really tall frame, unless you're really, really doing it every single day and you're doing it really softly, your joints start hurting. So whenever like stunts started taking over my life more than training, back and forth, it's really, really hard to stay on a consistent parkour practice and not destroy your joints.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I personally focus more on fight choreography these days.
Okay.
I don't know why I even said all that. You asked me what is the advice to give. The advice to give is take it slow. It is fun. You can do it. You can do it smoothly. You can do it safely. But this is the other thing. Like whenever I first started in parkour, you see people jumping from rooftop to rooftop, and I would be like, I want to do that. But the thing is, like, you don't need to do. You could practice everything you could do on a rooftop on the ground. You can get the same distance. You can practice jumping to a rail. All of that stuff. You don't ever need to go on a roof. You know, that's the other thing. Don't go on rooftops.
Yeah, a little dangerous, sir, especially if you're not comfortable with that.
Yeah,
may not end well. So good advice. And let's move on to the next question here, Rustic. In regards to your fighting style, what is your favorite type of fighting style that you like to use when putting together a fight scene? Is there one in particular where, like, I really like this style, or, you know, this one really suits me the best?
That's a great question. Well, my favorites. So my background personally is in judo and taekwondo. I have a really long legs, so like I like to kick a lot. I have the judo background, so I'd love to use like throws and rolls and all kind of stuff. But when I choreograph fight scenes, I would say if I had to name a martial art, I would think that the basic framework that I use is maybe kickboxing, because because it's like it has hands. So you have like all your basic punches you can do. You learn how to like roll, you know how to slip. So you got all those. And blocks, I would say, influenced by Taekwondo, but like they're just martial arts blocks. But the difference is, instead of blocking like with your bone, you know, you're actually blocking with like a soft part or with your hand. So I would say kickboxing, because also it teaches you it makes you it gives you the flexibility of like punching distance to kicking distance, and it has all that footwork in it as well that gets you in and out really fast. And then as far as style goes, I really like judo and like silat. Do you know what silat is?
No, I don't.
Silat is actually a martial art from, I think, Indonesia. It's like a knife fighting martial art, and they used it in the Raid a lot. I don't know if you've seen the Raid.
Everybody keeps out the Raid. I need to see the Raid.
It's pretty brutal, but it's pretty good as far as action goes. But they're always doing like this like thing where they're switching around, and they can grab something and like do like 2 or 3 stabs, because it's all about knives. Yeah, I don't know if I answered your question.
You did. Yeah, you're
judo,
doing great.
taekwondo, and kickboxing. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Let's move on here to the next question. In regards to the different characters that you played, this is more of a down the line question. What types of character roles would you like to play in the future if given the opportunity?
I would like to play. I don't know. If given the opportunity. Okay, so this is the one thing that I've always struggled with as a stuntman is I get hired as a bad guy a lot, right?
Yeah.
And I personally, like, if you ask any of my friends or you ask people that you know, like, at least I think I'm a really nice guy, right? So I don't, so I sometimes find it hard to get into the headspace of like I have a nice face. Like, it's not like try to make me a bad guy, you know? So it's like really hard for me to get in a bad guy headspace. And I feel like if I was to play something, I would like to play something which is close to my actual personality, which is like very a motivational, lighthearted, happy role, you know? 'Cause that's why I like Jackie Chan's one of my biggest influences, is like he's always like that happy character that just gets into situations and then has to, you know, he's never like beating somebody up, right? Having said that though, like if I was to be cast as a villain, I'd like to be cast as a villain that makes sense, you know, like Thanos from Avenger makes sense, right?
Yes.
He makes sense because like you're like, okay, well, at least what he's saying makes sense. He's not just like some guy that's like, hey, see, I'm gonna take all your money. Even though that's funny too. Like I could do that, you know. That's funny. But like,
Yeah.
I've had to play stuff before, like where I got cast, and it was like, you're this child trafficker, and you're trying to beat this woman up, and it's just like, I really don't enjoy those types of roles.
No.
And it don't suit me. I don't think they suit me. The stuff that suits me is what matches what I'm really like, which I think people know because I make a lot of YouTube videos. And
I'm actually glad you brought up Thanos, because he really, like, I love the weight and the depth to his character and the journey that he went through. Yeah, he was a bad guy, but he had a reason behind it. It wasn't just like you said, I'm evil and I need the Infinity Stones. He was like, this, he truly believed, and his mind was right. And in the end, I won't spoil anything, he realized.
I haven't seen the last one yet, by the way.
Okay, won't spoil anything there for you, but when you do see it, it's really, really good. That's all you need to know. That good. That's all you need to know. He was well done. Josh Brolin killed it.
Yeah.
He easily became one of my favorite villains, superhero villains. He's up there.
Yeah. I mean, do you think, like, I feel like part of it could be on the actor to flesh out the character, but it's like, I feel like the writing is really important, really. Like,
yes.
That's.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what other villains are like you believe.
Joker, Heath Ledger. I mean, he's probably my favorite. Like, just
Joker, yeah.
Wow, he really became that role. I mean, unfortunately, it kind of led to his demise, but still, I mean, he really took that role onto a whole nother level. Whew.
Yeah,
it's tough.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's the guy in Die Hard. I think he was. I don't remember if he had a good character or not. Yeah,
Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
Late Alan Rickman. I loved him in
that. Voldemort was kind of one-dimensional, wasn't he?
From Harry Potter? Yeah, in the books, I thought
a little bit
kind of written. What about Vader? You got Darth Vader. How can you not? I mean, there's dimension and weight right there. I mean, that's one of the most iconic.
Yeah. Have you watched Game of Thrones?
No, I don't. But spoil away. Like, if you got anything.
Okay. No, there's some like really, really nasty villains in there from like previous seasons. Like the new season is kind of like nerfed, I think.
Yeah.
But there was like a guy named Ramsay Bolton from like season 3 or something, or season 4, and it was just like, ugh. But you know what? Like, I don't think he's a good example from what we're talking about, because we're talking about having a character make sense. That guy, at least in my mind, was just pure evil. It just made you be like, ugh, why would somebody do that? But anyways, back to the topic. Yeah, like if I was cast, it'd be nice to be cast on something that matches my personality, which is I like to help people. Yeah, I like to have a good time. Like, I don't usually like to say things out loud that are going to be like negative about myself or other people, so I don't know if that's a question. What would you say? What if you were to be cast?
Oh, that is a good question. See, I haven't had dialogue. I just want a line. I don't care if I'm a good guy or I feel like I'm more naturally a good guy, but I'd also like to play the bad guy because I feel like it's something that I'm not, and I can have a lot of fun with that. I feel that's just me. I could take it and turn it up 180 degrees.
That's cool.
That's just me. So we'll see. We'll see what the future holds. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
But let's move on here to the next question, Rustic. In your opinion, what makes an effective, well choreographed fight scene?
Great question. I have notes on this. Very simple notes, actually. So, number one, we've heard this over and over and over. Story and characters. You said what makes an effective, well choreographed fight scene. Effective, well choreographed means that it matches the characters, it matches the plot, it matches the tone of the movie, or whatever you're doing. If it's a standalone fight scene, just somebody puts up on YouTube, I still would like to see some sort of story happening there, throughout the moves, or if it's just choreography, you forget it, right? What makes you remember something is like you said, like moments, moments is what you remember. So like if a fight scene has moments in there that make sense for the characters or for the emotions that they're feeling, or that get like the plot moving along, like that's what I think makes a really good fight. Like if it's just two guys fighting, which I'm guilty of this myself a lot of times, because as a stuntman, you just practice your actual technique of doing it. But if you only focus on the technique of the fight choreography and the fight scene, then sometimes it just could fall flat. But technique is still important. You know, as long as you have story and characters, and you put together your choreography based on how this person's feeling, whatever's going to happen here. Make sure you get your acting moments in there. Then, yeah, technique is really important as well. You know, making sure nothing misses. I see a lot of this happening, even in like my friends' fights, like, or people I see online too, like just misses. Like when you haven't done it enough, sometimes you just watch something and you're like, oh, that totally works. But I like to go through frame by frame to make sure something connects. You know, like if I throw a punch to somebody's face and it's like it goes like right here, no, it goes like right here, and they react, and it looks like it's fine, I still won't leave that in. You know, so there's like the technical aspect, and there's the story aspect. But I think the story aspect is more important. Like the John Wick one, like the Jon Snow Wick that we just watched, that came out today. Yeah, it's a bunch of choreography, but it starts off with, oh, his wolf is dead, so now he's mad. Motivation. Now this guy's coming at him. He's all surrounded, and so now he's not just like fighting one guy. He's like, okay, I'm surrounded. I'm gonna grab this guy, pull him here. Then he gets shot by an arrow. Then throw this guy away. Fight this guy over here. Try and distract him. Oh no, I'm caught. I gotta get away from this thing. So it's like something's happening the whole time, you know. And also, the reason I think that fight scene is really good is Sam, who was the guy on camera, he made sure to get the story points. So like in the choreography at one point, I have an axe and I like do an overhead strike, and Nico blocks it with a bow, right? And we struggle, and he puts it over my head, pulls it back, and like snaps me, right? Originally, it was just 1, 2, 3, 4. But when Nico was filming it, he went, okay, when it gets on your bow, I'm going to get a close up that it's caught, right? And then I'm going to go to your face and you're struggling with it. And I'm going to go to your face and you're struggling with it. And then you see something and you decide to like do this thing, right? So it's like you can even add moments to the story once it's already choreographed. But like as long as there's a story that you're watching,
that
you know,
weaving narrative thread that plays throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know, beginning, middle, end.
Yeah.
Because as I don't know if I think you said this action for the sake of action, it usually doesn't work. Because if the audience don't care about these characters and their development or lack thereof, you know, again, it's really good choreography, but it don't mean anything. You can't get invested. I want to go along for the ride, and I felt like John Wick did that really well. You know, it was a lot of great action, but there was I felt a really strong story there that carried over from 2 to 3.
There was a story. I think personally there was some parts in John Wick 3 that kind of felt like really long. Like they could have done the story in less time. But you know, it's also they're speaking to their audience, you know? Like John Wick fans want to see John Wick fight. So I'm a big fan of it, so I loved it. But I'm able to see that it had a little bit of moments where it was maybe a little bit too dragged out.
Okay.
Some of the fights.
Yeah, I can
and
see
don't
that.
quote me on that. Except too late because I'm already on the internet. Okay.
Off the record. All right. Let's move on to the next question here. Good answers. So, in regards to the projects that you worked on, what was the most difficult project you had to work on in your career up to this point? What made it so difficult, and how were you able to overcome whatever challenge that you faced while making this project?
Okay. This is exactly the point where I go, wow, I've never thought about this. I just kind of, okay, no. Well, I did. By the way, thank you very much for sending me some of these answers. Questions in the beginning, because I could think about it. So I do have like some notes. I just think in general, the most difficult projects that I've worked on have been like non-union, low budget stuff. Not all of them. So not all of them. I'm not saying every non-union shoot that's low budget is bad, because that's not how it is. But like if you're on a shoot where like the producer's really cheap and they're trying to get people for cheap, everybody ends up doing like more work and feeling rushed, and like the whole atmosphere just kind of becomes this like grinding thing, right? And like that's what when I was talking about directing, That's what I tried not to have happen on my shoots. But the hardest projects I've worked on were when there's misunderstandings between people and people aren't getting paid enough and they don't want to be there, and you're just there and you just got to do this thing, right? And like that's usually when people drop their guard and people get hurt as well. So luckily it never happened to me in that situation. But like, so yeah, non-union, low budget stuff, difficult for that type of reason, just because like you want to be having fun with people. As far as difficult project physically, when I first moved out to LA, I was trying to get my reel footage together to get my stunt reel all together and like, get some fights in there. And I was making this short film with my friends, and it was like everybody was doing it for free, and it wasn't even about the money, but it was like, it was really hard because we didn't know what we were doing. We were trying to do these fights that were like so grandiose in our heads. We're like, and then we're going to do this move, and then this move, and then this is going to happen. And then we're like going at it, or like going too fast, not in the right place, not acting, that kind of stuff. And actually, I dislocated my shoulder on that project.
Ooh.
So that was most difficult. But ever since then, like I said, that was like a long time ago. And I don't know, that kind of stuff with time just kind of stops happening. I guess like when you start training more and treating yourself and others like professionals, and I feel like that kind of stuff starts melting away. But if I was going to say, there is one project, I'm still deciding whether to say the name of it or not. I won't say the name. I'll probably make people guess. But it's a movie about zombies that I was in, and I played a zombie, and it was like non-union, and it was like there was this like school bus on a stage covered around like with black and like smoke and stuff, and there was these people on the bus trying to fight these zombies off, and I was like one of those zombies, and they kept reusing me. And so I was in the bus, and they take this crowbar and they stuff it like through my face like this. It comes out of the top. So so the makeup people glued a piece of a crowbar, like a fake crowbar, to the top of my head.
Yeah.
For that part. So they stabbed me, and then the actor like is supposed to like gently like do a push kick. But I'm motivating myself. The back door of the bus this is the bus. The door is open. Wait, I can't. Wait. This is the dust door. It's open, and I'm here, and I'm supposed to just go out, like hit the ceiling and fall on the ground and like fall out of the bus. That actor like Sparta kicked me out of the bus. And I wasn't wearing pads. I just went, and I went over the lip and down like 3 feet onto concrete. I was like, oh shit.
Whoa.
And then like, so that was one of those sets where like there was no communication going on. So then like, I did it. It was fine. Then we moved on, and I was on the last shot, and the last shot of the day was the zombie comes to the doors of the bus and it tries to pry it open, which was me, try to pry these doors open. And then this person inside the bus has a chainsaw, and they just go, they like start chopping the zombie, and they put this like tube of blood, like a really thick tube right here. It came out and went down like through my pants, and there's somebody off camera like with like a gallon bucket of blood, or I don't know how they rigged it, but they had like a ton of blood on an air compressor, and it would just go, and it would just go, right? And then they're like, okay, this is our last shot of the day, and we're gonna be after this we're wrapped, but we're gonna roll for like 30 seconds, so just keep acting. I was like, okay, I'll keep acting. So then, they say action. I go in, I open the doors. They like start chainsawing. I'm like, I try not to like fall off like for 30 seconds. So, blood's coming out, blood's all the way down pants.
Jeez.
30 seconds later, cut. Okay, cool. All right. And then I'm like standing there because I can't move. Like they put a tarp under me. I'm standing on this tarp in my wardrobe, like with my arms like this because I didn't want to get sticky. And I'm like, okay. 5 minutes later, I'm still standing there. I'm like, what happened? Because I just see people start wrapping out. And then the stunt coordinator walks over to me and he goes, hey, did they forget you? I'm like, what do you mean did they forget me? Everybody's just leaving. I'm like, what? So he helped me like get this like bloody shirt off. I ran over to I still had, they didn't remove so they had the crowbar thing, but they took it off, but there's still glue on my head. So then like, I went to the makeup trailer. I was like, hey, is anybody here? And there's this one guy in there. He was already wrapping up. Like he had his coat on. He was ready to leave. And he was like,
Oh,
oh, wait, what? And he looked like I was rushing him. Like he wasn't like being like, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. He was like, man, all right, come here. And he like just gave me some wipes for my face, wiped my face. And then like they left the glue. So that's just an experience of working on a set where people don't really care. Yeah.
that's tough to
But
hear.
it turned out fine. I mean, I watched it on Netflix before, and I'm like,
Okay.
oh, that's my face. But still, yeah, that stuff happens, and that's why I think it's really important of meeting, of being a good person and meeting good people and working with good people. Like I believe that, like I'm in Los Angeles. There's a lot of stunt people here. There's a lot of stunt coordinators. There's a lot of work, but there's also a lot of competition. But I used to have a scarcity mindset, and I used to be like, if I don't do this, then there's not going to be a job for me, blah, blah, blah. Now I'm like, I don't need to please anybody. Like if I'm a good person and I have integrity and I'm nice to the people I work with and I do the best that I can at whatever I'm doing, then I'm going to naturally gravitate towards the people that I'm supposed to work for and with, and they're going to gravitate towards me, because the only times I've ever been injured, I haven't been injured that much. I don't think I've ever really been injured on a job, but like the only times I've had like hard days, it's like when I force something, when it's like, I want this job. And even though like the universe is like, you do just chill. I'm like, no, I'm going to make it happen. And you force something, you make it happen. And then you're there, you're like, oh shit, like stunts isn't a joke, And so like, I've been very fortunate in my career to learn that early on. And now I'm just kind of like, just doing my best, trying to be a good person and network and stuff with people. And like, usually the jobs that I get are that fit me perfectly for that time, like when I'm ready for them. Yeah. Motivation. Yay.
Oh, that is a huge factor, especially in the stunt world and acting. You got to have strong motivation and positivity too. That definitely goes a long way. All right, Rustic, last question here. What does your routine consist of before you get ready to shoot a fight scene to get you in that mental and physical zone?
Great question. I'm glad you asked. No, but that is actually a great question because that's something that I've been physically like trying to figure out in the past. And like I'm a very process oriented person. So like I will, like if you look at my whiteboard, I have ideas. Here, I'll take this one. I have ideas on this whiteboard for like stuff I want to try in fight scenes. So like I'll take notes and I'll try and do stuff. Sorry, I'm trying to. Does this work? Okay. Yeah. So my process for getting ready to shoot something is, so in my mind, a good shoot, a successful shoot is whenever I have a vision that I either have a vision or we create a vision with a couple of people that like comes together by the end of it, while having everybody's spirits be high and keeping everybody safe, right? So this is my top 3 things, and I'm talking right now about like my YouTube videos, for example, right? All these little things that I do also translate to just performing in like bigger sets and stuff like that. But I'm just giving you the example from my own projects that I do. And so basically what I want to get a cool project while having a good atmosphere and having fun with it. So to set up for that, I know that I need to have, my body needs to feel good. So whether I'm doing stunts or not, I always try to do a light workout in the morning. I usually like to shoot stuff earlier in the day because usually that's when people are available, and I like to be done with it by like, because my shoots usually take 3 to 4 hours for my channel. And so like I like to do them in the morning, have the afternoon free, maybe even edit, Okay. So I'll try to get up early, do a light workout in the morning, stretch, get in the zone. If I'm doing stunts that day, double absolutely need to be like warmed up and stretched out before you start, So light morning workout. Then I go through exactly how I want to see my video idea in my head. So if it's a fight scene that I already have a concept for, like for example, we're going to recreate a John Wick fight scene. I'll sit there and I'll do my homework and I'll look at it and I'll be like, okay, so this is kind of what I want. If I know it specifically, like if it's something I wrote, I literally will make a shot list for myself so I can just go through shot by shot and like shoot it out. Sometimes I don't do that. Sometimes like for this new series of videos I'm doing on my channel, which I haven't released yet, but It's called Fight With Me. So for that, it's like we literally take a concept out of a jar, and then we have to make a fight scene around that. So like for that situation, I can't really prepare a shot list, but I'll still have an idea in my head. Like I'll still have like, okay, I want to do this VFX, I want to try it out, or like there'll always be something I want to try. And basically I get mentally prepared, and then I'll do like I'll just put on like some good music that hypes me up. I'll try and like make myself smile, jump up and down, and I'll just try and breathe and like try to literally generate like positivity. And then like right before I see that first person that's there, and just like smile and like just go off on the day. Sometimes I will take supplements, so, but not all the time. But there's this stuff called nootropics. So like sometimes like if it's like a really busy day, I'll take some nootropics, and it'll just keep me firing on all cylinders. Yeah. But so yeah, if easy question, workout / stretch, mental preparation, like do your homework, and then like physical like activation, like meditation, breathing, positive, good music. Like sometimes if I'm driving to a shoot, like if I'm driving to a stunt job that I'm nervous about, in the car, I will literally give myself affirmations, positive affirmations, like there's a reason you're here. Like you deserve this. You're supposed to be here. You're good at what you do. That's why you're hired. Sometimes if I'm nervous, I'll listen to like good music and like really like being a high performer in a good mental state is something that you have to do, if you practice it. And so I think that's really important.
All right. Well, we got about 7 minutes left here. So if there are any questions in the live chat that you guys want to ask us before we got to get going here, feel free to ask away. And this has been a really good interview, Rustic. I want to say thanks again for giving me your time, which I know is so valuable. It means a lot to have you back on my channel here. And I always enjoy these great conversations that we have about stunts and acting, and something that we're both very passionate about. It's just really good to just talk about it.
Dude, me too. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoy these conversations with you. Hopefully I'm not too tired, because literally like I trained really hard this week, and like today for some reason it's just been like so like hopefully I kept you guys entertained and answered your questions and wasn't too long-winded.
We actually do have a question. This is from one of your friends, CG Kid.
Okay.
He said, "What shampoo do you use?"
Oh, hey, what's up? What's up, CG Kid? I Head and Shoulders.
Good
yeah, yeah, great brand, and Dragon Ball Z shirt too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we got another question here before we go from Ben Garten. Shout out to Ben from the Kane Action Team. He says, "How does one go about joining a union?"
Joining the union. That's a great question. So you're asking about SAG, right? It's probably.
I'm assuming that's yes.
Okay, cool. So for people that don't know, actors and stunt performers, once they've been working in the industry for a while, they get to join. Well, they should. They don't have to, but typically they join the union, which is called Screen Actors Guild, or SAG for short, or SAG-AFTRA because it merged with something else. And the reason people do that is to get standardized rates. So, for example, a daily rate for a stunt performer in SAG is $980 a day, so $980 for 8 hours. And so to get in the union means you get more money, and then obviously, too, like for stunt performers, and when you get into the union, that's technically, at least in LA, that's technically when people start counting you as a stuntman. Like for example, I've been in LA for 8 years, but I've been SAG for 5. And so when people ask me, how long have you been doing stunts? If it's my friends, I'll be like, yeah, I've been here for 8 years. But if it's like a legit coordinator, I'll be like, I've been SAG for 5 years. So it's really important to join a union, for stunt performers, at least. And the way you join is, there's a couple different ways, but basically you have to do this thing called a Taft-Hartley, which means that you get a role on something that is union, and then they kind of count you in. Like, okay, he just worked on a union project. Now he's eligible to join the union. that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is through doing background work, being an extra. So like if you work as an extra on a TV show, non-union, they also have to hire a certain amount of union people. So once in a while, they'll have extra vouchers. I did this when I first moved out here, and you basically just ask around and be like, "Hi," you ask the AD like, "Hey, do you have any extra vouchers today?" Like you have to be nice about it, just like, "Hey, give me the voucher." But if you get 3 background vouchers, you're eligible. The other way that a lot of people have been doing it, and I think you can still do it, but I got one of my friends into SAG this way, is you can do your own project and you do all the SAG paperwork. You get it, you download it for free from their website, and you get one person of SAG has to be on your crew that is a signatory. And then there's basically a bunch of paperwork, but you could do like a short film and you just have to do a bunch of paperwork. And then once you're done with it, everybody becomes SAG as well. So that's how you get eligible. But it costs about $3,000 or $3,200 to join the union. That's the upfront cost. And then every 6 months or so, every 6 months, it's $250 plus 1% of your earnings.
Oh, wow.
So that's like a range. But I mean, it pays off because, for example, when I joined, I took it on credit, $3,200, but I had paid it off within like 5 months of joining, just because of the amount of money you get. Like even if you're doing background work, like as an extra, non-union, you get like $150 a day or $140 a day. But as union, you'll get like, actually, no, sorry. As non-union, it's like 120. As union, it's like 180. So it's like even if you're just doing background, you're getting more money. But that's how you join union. Sorry if that's long-winded. That's a very technical question. So that was a very technical answer.
All right. Sounds good. Well, Rustic, it's almost 8 o'clock here, so we're going to have to wrap things up. But before we get going here, you can get plugs in for any of your channels. And you got YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, whatever you'd like to plug. And those links can be found down below in the description box as well. So plug away.
Woo, thank you so much, Daniel. Guys, if you liked what we talked about, I have a YouTube channel. That's my main focus on social media. It's my YouTube channel. Its name is Rustic B, RUSTICB. I might be changing it in the next month or so. I will be changing it, actually. I don't know what to yet. But if you look up how to film a fight scene on YouTube, you will always find me, because I do a lot of fight scene tutorials. And I have a lot of fun. The reason I'm changing my channel is because I want to make more like videos of like whatever I want to make. So Rustic B has just kind of been hard. Anyways, check out my YouTube channel. I'm on Twitter. I don't use it that much. All my social media is at Rustic B. I mainly use Instagram and YouTube. So if you guys want to reach out to me, Instagram, DM me, or comment on my YouTube channel, and I would like to answer your questions. Yeah.
All right, good stuff, good stuff. Well, Rustic, once again, thank you for coming on the channel. It is always an honor to have you on here. I always look forward to these conversations, and we will do this again in the near future. So this will not certainly be the last interview here. There will be many more to come.
Awesome.
So that is
thank
it.
you.
You're welcome. So that is it, everybody. For here, thank you all for joining us live. Be sure to click the like and subscribe button here on youtube.com/DanielGeiser412 for all my latest thoughts on wrestling. And tonight, of course, is AEW Double or Nothing. It's coming on literally right now as we speak. So there's going to be competition again in professional wrestling. And I'm excited because that's what we need to make this industry great again. So I'm looking forward to, maybe I'll do a live reactions tonight. We'll see. Also got to say, be sure to check out Maximilian, the movie. It was a phenomenal independent film done by 3 Digital Rock Studios. My good friend Keith Collins. I talked to you, Rustic, about it, and it premiered last night, and I was really blown away by it. And there was a 5-minute fight scene with my friend Matt and Kane. It was one of the best fight scenes I've seen in an independent film in a long time. So once that information, like I said, they have a Facebook page. That's Maximilian the Movie on Facebook for more information about that project. And be sure to check out kaneactionteam.com as well. Our website, got to get, updating that as well. So there's a lot of links to check. And I want to say thank you all once again for tuning in. Rustic, thank you again for joining me. And that does it for this live interview, guys. And until next time, thanks for watching.